Hello providers, this is going to be the second part of our two-part video about our Little Buns binder. The first video that I have posted is everything that should be kept in your binder for record keeping purposes. This video is going to concentrate more on just the nutritional documentation or the labels that are needed. We rolled this program out about a year ago, so everybody should have a pretty healthy collection of labels by now. This is a requirement for reimbursement with the CACFP food program. So you have to save the labels that correlate with the items that you have on your menu. You have to have 4 different categories of labels. The first being processed meat and proteins. That is for meat foods with no binders and fillers, which we will go into detail once we get into that section. Whole grain foods, cereal and yogurt, and standardized recipes. You can organize your binder however you choose. It does not have to be in this order. But I started mine off with the processed proteins and meat foods. Again, we have to stay away from products that have binders or fillers, such as hot dogs, Salisbury steak, meatballs. If there are any sort of cornstarch, flours in the main ingredient list, they are not credible and do not put them on your menu. There are 2 types of labels that you can save. You could save the product and nutrition label from products that you would find at your local grocer, or you could save products that have a child nutrition label, and those you find at GFS, Costco, Sam's Club, the big bulk stores, or food distributors. Not every product has to have a CN label to make it credible for your program. A lot of daycare providers don't shop at those type of stores, and that's okay. There are hundreds of products that are credible in your local grocer. You just have to look at those ingredient labels. So let's start off with this lunch meat that I have here. I'm going to take a closer look at the nutrition label. The ingredient label is most important here. The ingredients are listed as chicken breast, water, and contains less than 2% of a multitude of ingredients. Your main ingredient line is anything that is listed above or before that less than 2% category. This is a credible food product because there are no binders or fillers. It's just chicken breast and water. If the product said chicken breast, water, and modified cornstarch, that would make it not credible. So if I had sandwiches for lunch on my menu and I used this type of lunch meat, this is the label that I need to save. Please take note that you need to save the actual product, the description, along with the label. Because these were on 2 different sections of the product, if you just save this label, we do not know what the product is. So you do have to copy or save the product label itself. The second is child nutrition labels. A child nutrition label looks like this elongated rectangular box, and it's labeled with CN on all sides. Just because a product has a CN label does not necessarily make it credible for that component. This, however, is, and it says per serving that there meets the food requirement for the child nutrition food program. So this would be credible. Again, this label is all together, but on a lot of bulk products, the CN label is not necessarily anywhere near the product label. So you would need to save both of those so we know what it is. If you just cut out this CN label, we don't know what the actual product is. So make sure to save both of those. Now, organic does not necessarily mean that it's credible. Organic products can still have fillers. So you need to concentrate on that ingredient label. A lot of these will advertise that there's no preservatives, no nitrates, no added hormones, but they're advertisements. They are getting you to buy that product. You need to read the ingredient label to make sure that those products do not have fillers. Like I said again, there's a multitude of products that you can buy that fits the needs of your program. And those are the labels that you're going to need to save. Okay, moving on to whole grains. As part of a food requirement on your menu, you do have to serve whole grains 1 time a day on your menu. Whatever that one whole grain is, that is what you need to save your label for. So that is for breads, cereals, graham crackers, as long as they're whole grain graham crackers. Anything that you use for your whole grain component for the day is what you need to save. Again, one thing to focus on is multigrain or wheat products. They advertise on the front of the package that it's made with whole grain or made with whole wheat. You need to flip that package over and read the nutrition label, because a lot of times that advertising is just that, advertising for you to get to buy that product thinking that it's healthy, and it is not. Yes, there's whole grain in that product, but it's almost all the way down on the ingredient list, and that is not credible for a whole grain. The word whole needs to be very first in the list of ingredients for that to be considered a whole grain product. So just don't grab a loaf of wheat bread off the shelf thinking, oh, it's wheat bread, it's got to be a whole grain. No, not the case. Also keep in mind, you only have to serve whole grain 1 time a day. So if you have more, great. That's a great benefit to have incorporated into your menu. However, that does not exclude other products. You can still serve white bread. You could still serve regular waffles. Not everything needs to be whole wheat or whole grain. So if your kids are having pasta and they don't like the whole wheat pasta, that's okay. You could serve regular white pasta. However, you do not need to save the documentation for that. You can still serve it and it's still credible. You only need to save the documentation for whatever your whole grain component is for the day. The next category is yogurt and cereal. There are sugar limits to the yogurt and cereal that you could serve in your program. I will post a link in the comments below to the sugar levels and the yogurt and the cereal to make sure that what you are serving is compliant. But again, save the nutrition label along with the product so we know what it is. If you never serve yogurt, then you don't need to worry about it. And save the labels for the cereals that you are serving for your program. Fruit Loops, Lucky Charms, Sugar Pops, those cereals are not credible. The last is your standardized recipes. If you have any sort of combination foods on your menu, such as spaghetti, soups, stews, casseroles, lasagna, things that have more than 1 meal component in the menu, you need to have a recipe breaking down those ingredients. This ensures that the children are getting the proper amount served to them of vegetables, pasta, and meat. I will post the link to standardized recipes in the comments below. You can kind of see my handwriting down here, but the recipes can be found at www.theicn.org. This is a little bit of a change from how we did recipes in the past. Before, we only had the main ingredients and how much they yielded. Now you need a standardized recipe. This website, if you have spaghetti on your menu, you can go to this website and type in spaghetti and it will pull you up a standardized recipe. Print that out and put it in your binder. If you never have spaghetti on your menu, then you don't need to have a recipe for that. Or if you serve your components separately, you do not need to have a recipe for that. However, chili, soups and stews, and casseroles do need to have a recipe. Those ingredients need to be broken down into how much each one yields per child. And again, I'll post the link to that at the bottom. So those are the 4 categories that need to be in your binder. So whatever you have on your menu needs to be depicted with the correct labels. And we will look for those during review. We will go over your menu. and say, oh, you're having Triscuits as snack, then I need to see the label for your Triscuits since you're claiming it as a whole grain. That's what we're going to go for. If any of these are missing, that meal will be disallowed during the review. So it's really imperative that we work on this and get this organized. Again, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, feel free to put them in the comments. Or you can call the office or call Erica, and we will be happy to help you. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.